All right, welcome everybody to apparently we're calling this Downright Annoyed with Comics.
I just threw something together.
Yeah, so I'm Jackson with Bored and Annoyed, with my usual co-host over there, Michael. We do Downright Annoyed with movies. We just recorded one on Stargate, so check that out once you're done watching this. But yeah, we've also got Comic Man Andy, who is joining us this evening to discuss a comic book series. And little background here, I don't read many comics, so if something's suggested that's really good, I'll check it out. And today we were discussing the first 18 issues / 3 volumes / book 1 of Saga here. But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, man. I have to interject here real quick. I know we just talked about me being a loudmouth, but you are a third generation Saga guy. I'm a first generation, because the first time I even got an inkling of wanting to read Saga is because of this guy right here, because he's a huge Saga fan. So I read it, fell in love with it, and then I recommended it to you, and you read it and are starting to like it. Spoiler alert. So yeah, three generations thanks to you, Andy.
Oh boy.
But yeah, let's
No
go
pressure.
around the horn here. So I'm the third generation, so we will go ahead and let Michael have the mic, since he's going to hog it anyways.
I'm going to do it
and kind of introduce himself here.
Hey guys, Michael from the Downright Nerdy podcast. Yeah, I run a weekly podcast on all pop culture things. It's kind of morphing into our normal daily life now, but yeah, for the most part, it's still pop culture centered. We're doing a big giveaway for a couple of milestones that we just hit, so make sure to go to our channel, check it out. Downright Nerdy podcast on YouTube and any of your favorite apps. So check us out there.
And comic man Andy.
Oh boy, hey guys. These two fine gentlemen are going to talk Saga and invited me on, and I'm like, absolutely can't miss it. I'm kind of like the bump on everybody's log in the YouTube community, kind of floating around, hanging out where I can. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right. Well, hey, you're very welcome. Thank you for coming on.
Wait, Andy, you're one of the hosts of one of the greatest beer podcasts in the world, Pinky's Out Podcast.
Yeah, but we're here for his show.
But still, you got to put our plugs in a little bit, right?
Yeah, okay. So one of the co-hosts of Pinky's Out Podcast, where we talk beer and adult-related content. As you can tell, the more beer we drink, the more adult-related it gets. So Pinky's with a Y on all the usual platforms. And actually, I think the two guys are going live on YouTube here on the Pinky's Out Podcast channel as well.
Hell yeah.
Sweet.
Cool.
But yeah, let's talk Saga. So I just flew through this thing, the first 18 issues, in hardly any time at all. I think I read 9 of them in one sitting. I just sat down and finished it. I like weird shit, that's kind of out there. So as soon as I started reading this, I'm like, oh, it starts with a pregnant woman asking if she's shitting. So I'm like, okay, this is right up my alley immediately. I wasn't expecting it to be as raunchy as it is. It's got a very weird plot where essentially there's a long war that's been going on, and I don't think, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I don't think at the point we're at we really know what started it, outside of it's been going on forever. Nobody even remembers what it's over, but there's a moon and a planet, and I forget the names of all the characters and all the planets, so you'll have to forgive me there. But basically, they've been at war forever, and it was doing such destruction that they've actually moved this war off-world to other planets. So we start with someone who originated from the moon and someone who originated from the Earth. Basically, they're having a child. And basically it all comes off of that, the implications of that. Lots of, little metaphorical stuff in here that I really like, relating to actual conflict on Earth that we see. So I'm really enjoying it. But, I guess, Andy, you've been reading this probably for years. Like what is it that you like about it?
So there's a saying, if any of you guys watched Modern Men recently, we did Watchmen, right? There's a saying about Watchmen is Watchmen is when comic books grew up. Saga for me is when comic books went from being preteen to adult. It's like that's really that next evolution. I've been reading this in and out through and through for about 3 years now, I think. And this is a story that's very near and dear to my heart because I got back into comic book collecting during a very difficult time in my life when my wife and I found out that we weren't going to be able to have children. And we were trying to redo a family plan. Like, what do we want to do for the next 5-10 years, whatever. That's one of the big things they tell you, when you get news like this is reevaluate your life, what you want to do. She's getting into another hobby of hers. I'm getting back into some of my own hobbies. So I'm in the comic book shop and the LCS guys I hit them up. I'm like, what do I need to read that I've missed out over the last 5 or 6 years? First thing they pointed to was Saga. So I grabbed that book, and what's on the first page or two? She's having a baby, and a baby's born. I took this exact trade paperback and threw it at the wall. You kidding me? Really? Just life's throwing me curveballs. That same week that I bought this book, maybe it was 2 weeks, we found out we were pregnant.
Oh, wow.
They're like, no joke. So I don't know how the universe works that way, but it's a story very near and dear to our heart, and we've both read it through and through. We're excited for him to come back. And over the years, we became kind of completionist collectors with the #1, and I'm considering doing a full run of CGC books as well on that.
Ooh, wow.
Well, I feel like we should just end the show because we're not going to top that story. So, it was nice seeing everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Wonderful having everyone. But
definitely not trying to top anything. But I mean, that's as real as it gets for me.
No, that's cool. It's crazy how that kind of stuff happens in life too. And it's like, I'm not like a religious person, or even spiritual for that matter. I'm kind of just whatever. But there are moments like that in life where you just kind of go like, is there really no reason for that? It's just interesting. So, but Michael.
Well, you make me follow that, but so my experience with Saga took a bit of a different turn. After reading it and showing Riley still has not read it, but I have shown her some splash pages on it, and she is going to read it because she finds it very interesting already. She's just trying to find the time. But I'm pointing to the pages. I'm like, hey, you need to get some wings. That'd be sexy as hell. And I'll get some horns, and we'll just go all crazy.
They make cosplay outfits for the capes and the coats and stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And so, I mean, all kidding aside, I mean, this hits every single kind of genre thing that I look for in any storyline, whether it's a comic book, a movie, or TV show. It's got action, it's got love, it's got interesting characters, it's got great story arcs that make me want to that make me excited to turn the page, I guess, right? And I can't be I'd be remiss if I didn't say I wasn't enjoying this more than anything else out there right now.
Yeah, and I guess, Andy, without spoiling it, I'm assuming you've read it all.
Yeah.
Does it get better, worse? I mean, it just continues at the same quality?
Getting better from that point forward would be the understatement of this current conversation.
Really?
Oh God, yes.
Really? Because it's awesome. And it's funny because I'm digging it, even though I am confused at times reading it. Before we kind of started, before you hopped in here, we were talking about the robot dude, Robot 4 or whatever his name is, the Prince. The Prince. Yeah, it's very I'm assuming they're pulling the strings somehow with
Now, Andy, you probably know what it is, but Jackson, do you know what all the pictures on his screen represent?
No, I love it though, because it's always like a blow job happening or
there's
something.
one with like 3 cocks in one face, right?
Yes.
Well, here's what I think about that. I think it's Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples trying to in our real world, in our real life, we have our deepest thoughts and our secrets that we keep to ourselves. And I feel like this is something that race of people can't do because their internal thoughts are displayed right on their faces all the time.
Oh, maybe.
Sometimes I've been hemming and hawing back and forth with the idea that, well, maybe that picture is an emotional state, but the more I think about it, it's like his inner thoughts that he can't hide.
It's like Liar Liar, but with pictures.
Yeah.
Pornographic pictures.
Now,
I mean that could just be him thinking like, man, I feel like I'm just getting fucked right now. Like
that too.
He's just because when that picture came up, that was like at a time when he like hit like a roadblock in his investigation or something like that, and he's just like, God, what the hell, I feel like he's just feeling like he's just getting screwed.
well, I mean, all of the characters are pretty damn good. The Will is probably my favorite so far with Lying Cat. I love that, how the cat is just, it's so weird and goofy, but awesome.
I envision Voldemort's voice when the cat says lying. I'm like,
yeah.
Lying.
So I mean, if you like the Will, man, the character development for all the characters is great, but particularly for the Will, the character development through all of the issues is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I like
the name of his girlfriend, the 5-legged spider.
The Stalk.
I really loved her character.
Well, that was just so out of left field too.
Yeah.
Like the book is surprising, and I do want to just say, I mean, the art is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It looks so good.
Yep.
Everything looks so good to me. It's exciting to have something like this. I'm glad you brought this up, Michael, because it gives me something to read. Like I said, I'm not a comic connoisseur by any means. I read graphic novels when I hear one's good, because then I don't have to dedicate myself to anything. I can just read it. But this is I'm excited. I'm excited to have something like this. So.
You better just go ahead and hit that giant pause button on life and get the rest of the books and read them, because if you thought you read those first 9 issues fast, wait till you get everything else.
I'm pumped. I'm going to go actually here. I'm going to open up another tab, go on mute right now.
Do you remember back when you were a kid and you were pumped for that video game or something, but you had to put it down to go to school, or you had to put it down to go do your chores or something like that? Well, you don't have to anymore. You're an adult. You can just keep binging.
You can put everything on hold.
But that feeling, this really strikes that up for me again. That feeling of not wanting to put it down and wanting to keep going with it. Dude, I can't wait to see you guys get all the way through this to the last current issue and see what you have to say.
You have no idea how pumped we both are on this show, or on the series. Now, you mentioned briefly, you can't wait till it comes back.
Yep.
Is it on hiatus? We were talking about that.
They've been on hiatus for almost 2 years. This upcoming summer, I think, is the 2-year mark.
Why?
You know what? I'm sure there's a why out there. If I think hard enough, it was due to they wanted to take a creative break from Saga.
Okay.
And I think they had other projects happening at the time that they wanted to finish up. It escapes me what those were.
Okay, I don't mind that. Yeah, but it's not like there are creative differences, right?
No, they're both teamed up with this still. They have announced that they are both coming back. They have also announced it's official. They're going to wrap up the rest of the story. They've done 1 through 54 issues now. They're going to wrap up the rest of it in another 54 issues.
Oh, so they have a plan and an actual end in mind. So it's not The Walking Dead where it's just gonna just, because I did read that up to about 100 issues or whatever, and it just like the show, it got stupid.
It drug on and drug on, just like the zombies, right?
Yep.
Well, that makes me excited because they have a vision of where they want this to go and they have it planned out. See, this is a model like the Star Wars everybody should. Oh, shit. There it is. This is all right. We're no longer talking Saga now.
But that's funny that he brings that up, because Saga is like a cross between Star Wars and something else. When most people talk about Saga, the book and the story, it's like a cross between Star Wars, the Star Wars universe, and something else.
To be honest, it actually reminds me a lot of Firefly.
I can see
a little
that.
bit, a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Firefly with a mix of what's that show that's on Netflix with the fairies and the
Isn't
Portland
that
of Doom.
Amazon? With,
or Amazon.
Yeah, with the Cara Davini or whatever her name is.
Carnival Row.
Carnival Row. There it is.
Now that was, speaking of, if you guys don't mind, my brain being a movie guy, I instantly go to imagining this as a television show. Because I think that something like this right now would actually do very well if it was done correctly. People seem to, Game of Thrones kind of opened up the floodgates for fantasy stuff. There's sci-fi stuff that's really popular, and it kind of blends those two things, which is typically my favorite type of story. I mean, that's what Star Wars is, right? Yeah. It's like this book, or it doesn't seem to be concerned with how stuff works scientifically. It's just there, and it's awesome, and that's what I like about Star Wars too, because who cares, right? It has to have logic, and everything in this has logic so far. But yeah, I could see this being something pretty fun for them to do. And I don't know how popular this is. I mean, I'm not in that world, so
this is pretty popular. There's some, I want to say Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples were discussing that this probably isn't something that they would assist with moving to a TV or a movie. Or somebody in the chat or somebody watching down in the comments, comment below if you guys remember what they were saying about how it wouldn't get to be a series or a TV, or they didn't want it to go that far. I can't remember. Maybe it is. I don't know. I'm not quite up to date to that. But one of the reasons why they took that 2-year hiatus was to help wrap things up, help have a plan,
figure it out, right?
And figure it out and how they wanted to end it and close it. This is more and more people are brought into comic book collecting and comic book reading because of this story than any other graphic novel out within the last 10 years, in my opinion.
I've never heard of it. So
there's so many people on YouTube and Instagram that have started channels or have started pages like, hey, I'm not a comic book collector, but here's my Saga collection. And they've got all the pops, and they've got all the comic books, and they've got all the trade paperbacks. What does that have them doing? That has them contacting their local comic book shops and checking when Saga comes back, because everybody's hyped for it. And there's a huge Saga following online. Huge. There's a Facebook page.
And I'm sorry, but Solo Wookie, you believing that it's going to be slated to be a series, that's actually debunked. That was nixed a while back.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
come on.
There's no plans right now, no movie, nothing in the works at this point.
Yeah, there's so many little things that were so cool, like when he goes to the prostitution planet, the red light district planet, and it's like the first page of that is just it's a whole page drawing of these two legged women who just have heads on legs, and it's just like stuff like that. I just giggle as I read it. It's so fun,
one of my favorite characters has been I think her name's Isabel, the floating ghost girl.
Yes.
Love her. I think she's great. She provides that little comic relief, from the seriousness of a lot of things. Like when she's trapped on that one planet, and then they have to fight the ogre with the giant hanging testicle or whatever, right?
Yeah, that was nuts. She almost plays the role of the droids in the original Star Wars, where it's like she's the one. You're almost viewing the story from her perspective in a way, because she kind of makes the comments of stuff you would be thinking, So she's fun.
What do you think that will eventually catch up to Sophie? I don't know what's the girl's name, because she's narrating it towards the end in volume 3, right? So I'm assuming we're going to catch up to her as an adult. She's telling the story of her parents, how they met and all that.
Yeah,
right?
She's the narrator of the whole thing so far.
She's the narrator. Are we going to catch up to her, and is the entire saga going to be?
That's a great thought process that people have been talking about for quite some time, is where is it gonna go?
Oh, so that tells me that it at least spans the 52 issues then.
Oh yeah, she continue. I'm not going to spoil a lot, but she does continue to narrate the rest of the story. Yes.
Right.
Gotcha. All right.
I figured that's pretty key. I am very intrigued
Mhm.
with where it goes. And it's so fun how all over the place it is, and how it still has like an overarching narrative that's interesting to follow, because I'm just thinking of all the stuff that's happened in the first 18 issues or whatever. And I mean, you're planet hopping, you're getting to know all these different characters. And you don't really, none of them are, I guess maybe the robot guys it escapes me what you call the winged race, but the winged guy who's kind of using the robot guy to go find them or whatever.
Right. Yeah. He's like a politician guy, right?
Right. And it's like, I like the fact that I don't know yet what their connection is to all of this. These robots, like, are they built and are they just servants to someone, or they seem to be sentient beings to me.
I mean,
they seem to be.
I mean, they have sex, right? So I think that just that in and of itself, they're just like they are their own, and she's a prince, right? And there's like their royalty, so they're I think they're an actual race. But what I like about not knowing anything else about like that part of the story is that it still seems very clear that the writer has a very specific plan with everything that goes on. You know what I mean? And every you know how when you watch Game of Thrones, you can't miss like a minute because you'll miss something.
Yes.
You can't miss a single panel or a single box, right? Because you'll miss something key.
It does feel that way. I'm always like stressed out that I'm going to, like, I'll turn a page and I'll be like, oh shoot, is there a page stuck there? Well, try and peel them apart, I
mean, to be fair, there are some fairly questionable scenes, so
yes,
I can get it.
Yes.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie, I get excited every time I open the page.
Oh, Jesus. Is this like heavy metal, Michael? You tap Riley on the shoulder and say, "Hey, Riley,
let me get in between and just jiggle them around a little bit."
Yeah, I thought, and it's funny too. Like, there was one part that made me laugh where she wants to please him outside of the big tower building that the writer lives in.
Oh, because she's stressed out. Yeah,
and the mom is like, oh, what is Elena doing? Is she praying? And the other guy's like, no, that's not praying.
Well, the best part, I thought one of the best right before that is when she's like, drop your pants. It's like, what?
Yeah.
He goes, I think you're using sex as a distractionary tool for whatever. And he goes, whatever. Where do you want to come? Like, okay.
Yeah. Where are these women in the real world?
Yeah, right.
So for as out there as this universe is and this story is, the stories with the characters, the character development, it's very relatable. I'm so excited for you guys to read the next 4 or 5 books. They get into situations that are very relatable with real life.
Huh. All right.
God, I wish you guys have read all this already.
I have a feeling I'm gonna go this route with these the books.
Okay.
So there's 18 each.
I'll do that too. I'm not going to buy the big books, but I'll read them in 3s.
Yeah. So the next one is I just ordered it, by the way. And if you have not read this out there and you're watching this, I would order this as well. But yeah, so I'm thinking I will get through these pretty quickly. So you said there's how many total?
9.
54?
54 issues?
9 trade paperbacks, right?
Okay, so there's 18, 36.
So 3 of your big books. 3 of your big books.
Right.
Yep. 3 compendiums.
So that's what I'll be doing.
I suggest this, Jackson. I say all 3 of these Saga reviews be on your channel so that it keeps it consistent.
Sure.
And then maybe when they start coming out single issues, maybe we'll switch it over to mine. I don't really care. It doesn't really matter to me. But I'm really excited to talk about Saga a lot more.
Yeah, and by the way, Michael, after our conversation the other week, I really want to read All-Star Superman again. So please get on that because that is one of my favorite things ever.
Yeah, we could do that. We'll keep the big boy book on your channel. We'll do a bunch of small
Sure.
ones.
Now, what else is there to talk about here? So the Will, can we just talk about how awesome that character is?
Because
he's so, like, you can tell he's layered. I want to know more about him. Not knowing his history. And Andy, are you laughing because I think he's awesome already and he's just going to get better, or what? Is that what you're giggling about?
I'm not spoiling anything. I'm just saying you gotta read it.
Because so far I think he's my favorite.
He's enjoying us experiencing.
It's killing me. It's killing me.
I was really upset for a second when Lion Cat got sucked out of the spaceship.
Oh yeah,
I was upset. And Gwendolyn,
I thought that
the
best part of the Will is Lion Cat. I think
they're both great. They make sense together. Because I can tell the Will's he's trying to keep it all inside, And I
wonder, do you ever wonder, because we see the flash forward panels where we see the young girl. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. Never mind. I'm thinking of something else. Never mind. Forget exactly.
Well, you saw how you go from book volume 1, volume 2, and then from volume 2 to volume 3, how it speeds up a little bit, right?
Oh yeah.
It
does. Because how does this start off?
I think that we should probably be prepared for when you guys get to issue 54, when they move on to 55 and 56. I think there's gonna be a big time jump.
Now, Jackson, do you think? And Andy, I know you're probably going to be dying inside when I ask this question.
Don't spill it, Andy. Don't spill it.
In volume 3, that one guy says that Alana is like a great at like deep cover, and she's like a double agent or something, right? Or undercover, right?
Is she full of shit?
In the back of my head, I'm thinking, is this all a freaking ploy, or is she gonna like double cross him or something?
That would be amazing. I'd be really upset already because I'm already attached to this relationship. To find out it's a sham would be upsetting, but I did think that too. Because that would be a perfect nugget. That would be a perfect nugget to drop though, and then have that actually happen, and you would look back and go, they tried to. They left a little breadcrumb.
It's going to happen on issue 54, and we're going to have to wait until it comes out. The biggest cliffhanger in all of comics.
Well, it sounds like we're not going to go through what people who have been reading it have gone through. Because it's funny, like Game of Thrones, when they had that big break between seasons 6 and 7 or whatever, and people were complaining about it. I just was so annoyed. Are you kidding that you're complaining about this? I read these books before this show came out, and I had to wait. I'm still waiting. There's been one book. I'm still waiting, and the entire thing was spoiled and ruined. So, yeah, sorry. I'll get off my soapbox there, but
I love it.
But yeah, so you said it's been on hiatus for about 2 years. Is there a scheduled release date for the new book or no?
There's not a specifically scheduled time. They did say that they were for sure coming back in 2020, and every month everybody checks the solicitations, everybody checks previews or the stuff ahead of that, and so far I think we're out to March and they're still not slated to come back yet, so we're looking summertime.
You got to imagine that that's going to be the hottest book on like whatever month that comes out.
Oh God, yeah, right. Yep.
It's the only book I'll be buying.
Yeah.
You guys got to get to the end of the first. You guys got to get to book 54, though. I mean,
we will.
Dude, I just got this in the mail.
I mean, this all came about like within a week.
Saturday.
So, I mean, we're going to be quick.
He suggested it on. He suggested it to me on Saturday. I had the book on Monday, and I finished it yesterday. So that's 18 issues. So at that pace, I'll be caught up in a couple weeks.
And then Monday night, you texted me and you're like, "Hey, let's do a show on this because you liked it so much."
That was like right away.
Yeah,
I
it was
just
literally that
started it.
day.
Now
Yeah,
you
it's
guys gotta have me back for every episode so you can watch me pull my hair out as I wait for you guys to get to the end.
for sure. It's
I've
funny.
never seen you comb your beard so much, man. I'm not gonna lie.
I feel like such a noob comic reader though, because as I'm reading through it, I'm thinking to myself, like, am I paying enough attention to the pictures? Or am I getting through this too fast? Like, because that's the thing with graphic novels and comics. Like, typically I can sit down and read the whole thing in 1 or 2 sittings. And I don't know am I doing it wrong, or is that just you like something and you go,
I've read.
I think they designed this to be like that. I think between the artist and the writer and everybody putting it together, it's designed to flow a certain speed. If there's anything I've learned on Modern Men every week when we're reading something different, the creators of each book design their layouts, design the writing, and do everything so that the story unfolds at a certain flow or a rate.
That makes sense because, thinking back, the one that felt like I was reading a novel when I read it was Watchmen. Like that one, you have to take your time and read it. Right. And there's sections in it where it's not a comic book. It's like a news article or between the different issues, there's little, but yeah, Watchmen is dense compared to this.
Now just wait, watch when you talk yourself into going back and reading Watchmen, rereading Watchmen, just so that you can read the story of that comic that the kids read, and I forget the name of it.
The Black Pearl, I always want to call it.
So Black the Curse, Freighter or something like that.
Yeah, there it is. Curse of the Black Freighter. Yep.
Now, I mean, you're talking about the like it's drawn and like the way that it's supposed to flow a certain way. As interesting and as many characters as this Saga has, it is so simple to just jump in and feel that awesome flow of that we were just talking about, which is why it's so easy for us to whip through it. Like I'm sure did you read the Metal series on DC, Andy?
No, I haven't.
No.
I'm not a huge DC reader.
Yeah, so I mean, not me. Same here for the most part, but because one of my buddies, a huge Batman fan and now the Batman Who Laughs fan, he's like, "Hey, you got to read it." So I read it, and it was super difficult to kind of catch up because there were a lot of intricate panels and splash pages and things like that where you really like wanted to take the time and look at all this art that they were putting in because you can almost go a page and a half or 2 pages without even any dialogue. So you're really just kind of like looking at pictures, right? But there's so much to it. And then you get those pages just same as what you were talking about, Jackson, with Watchmen, how there's a bunch of stuff in between where you may not be reading for a long time. And then all of a sudden you have to read like font this big, and it's like stretching the entire page.
Right. You gotta imagine too. Now we're in a day and age where anybody putting out any content is working to capture people's attention, and their attention spans are shorter than they ever have been. It's to the point where people making shows and TV shows and YouTube channels, they're creating micro content from their original content to draw people in because attention spans are so short. You only get people for 20, 30, 40 seconds.
Yeah, it's so true.
And then they're trying to draw, here's my micro content. Did you like it? Come watch my whole show. So if you think about it, obviously Saga was what, 2007 to 2000.
It was way pre-Twitter for sure.
Right. So, I mean, it kind of flows like they're working to grasp your attention and draw you in. And when things get a little bit wordy, it gets wordy for a reason and it'll hold you. But then I find myself when I'm just about to be like, oh my God, and then it moves on or it delivers something. It brings you somewhere, delivers something to reward your attention span. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, come on. Let me find this. How are you not rewarded by, this is my favorite panel in book 3 now. I can't find it. I'll find it here in a second.
Okay. Jackson, what were your favorite parts of the first 3 volumes?
I mean, I love the whole prostitution planet thing with the will.
Mm-hmm.
I like another part with him is when they go to that planet and they eat the food and they start tripping balls and seeing all the
And then what's her name stabs him in the neck.
Yes,
Oh
awesome.
my god, my heart sank there. I'm like, what?
Yep.
Excuse me.
So I liked that. The whole, all the stuff with the robot, and it's partly because I don't get him yet that I
Mhm.
find it kind of intriguing. The fact that they're not just delivering me information, like, you know, it's I like not knowing why the war started. I don't. Am I wrong, or do we not know? We don't know, right?
I don't recall knowing why. So
right. So and I like the message of like it really doesn't matter why.
Mhm.
That's
Because the war isn't the
interesting.
focal point of the story.
Right.
I think one of my favorite parts was Marco's dad's interaction with his wife on the rocket ship, right? When his mom and him leave and it's just those two and the baby left inside the rocket ship, right? And first like she you know, what you call it, you know, does that little spell to bind him, and then he says like, hey, I'm gonna die soon kind of thing to free himself. And then he turns out he just wanted to free himself just so he could be a good grandpa, you know?
Yeah, and that's an interesting, very interesting part about their race is they can utilize magic, but it comes at a cost.
Yeah,
it costs something to do it. They can't just whip it out or do any magic they want at any given
No,
time.
no.
They have to trade something.
Correct me if I'm wrong,
Right.
but I thought that I read, I think it was in volume 2 where I think it may have been 3, but they said that every time you do magic, no matter what, it takes time off your life. Did I read that correctly?
I don't remember that.
No. Okay. I'll have to reread.
But again, I'm a noob, so maybe I missed it. You know,
I don't remember.
Damn, you got to redo the whole thing now.
I absolutely love the author of the cheesy romance novel. Well, and what it says about like how we all like people judge, you know, being like a sci-fi fantasy nerd, like people, you know, constantly judge that stuff as like kid crap, or, you know, it doesn't have the like a value, people who don't get it necessarily. And the idea that like he hid this subtext in this stupid romance novel is brilliant to me. I love that.
Well, you knew it was coming to. I mean, they telegraphed that when he's having that conversation with the robot guy, right?
Yep. And he's like, oh yeah, it's just a bunch of crap, you know. And for a second though, I was thinking like, oh, that would be a fun twist too, is that people read into this novel shit that wasn't even there. You know what I mean? Like that would be interesting too. But then you find out it's kind of it kind of reminds me of like either you guys see Jojo Rabbit yet? You know, you've got
I haven't seen it.
You've got the Jewish girl hidden in the walls or whatever, and you know, during Nazi Germany, and it's like it gave me that vibe of, you know, kind of the Gestapo showing up, wanting to, you know. So God, and it's so, the characters are so cool. I mean, who comes up with the tube TV head character?
Well, it gets expanded beyond that too. So you guys got to keep reading. It's not just like,
actually, you know what? After all this, Andy, I think I'm just going to stop here. I'm not going to canceling my order.
So one of my favorite panels in this is because this is just so outlandish. It's outer space, spaceship. Dude's got a TV for a head. He's a prince wearing what looks like a horse riding uniform. Then he pulls up to the pump and starts pumping gas.
Yes. Yes. Yes, that was great. That was great. It's that speaks to you too on like what came into my head there, and it's like it's so brilliant because it reminded me of movies like that. Like the one I thought of when I saw that was Dumb and Dumber, how they're kind of going across the country, and you know, the guy who's got gas, how do they know I've got gas? You know, that guy is kind of just behind him. You know, that's, for some reason, that was what came into my head, and I'm like, for that kind of stuff to pop into your head when you're reading something like this is awesome. So, you know, I can't speak highly enough about what it is so far. Now, if it doesn't get better, Andy, I'm going to be pretty upset with you, because
I can take it.
I can't imagine it getting much better. to be honest with you.
Oh God. Oh man.
But we haven't even. I mean, this is essentially the first act of the entire
Yeah.
Of the three-part
just scratching
like first
surface.
half,
Right, but I'm so used to, shit getting dragged out, and it just gets more.
Sorry, hey, Andy.
I guess
Jackson is
when
salty
it's-
as hell, man. He's salty.
I guess when the concept, and this isn't an insult, this isn't at all an insult, but when the concept and the ideas are so elevated to a level of ridiculousness that's like it's purposeful ridiculousness, then I guess it kind of opens it up where you can just go crazy with it. Like I brought up All-Star Superman. That's why I love All-Star Superman, is because it takes the concept of Superman and how powerful he is, and it just turns it up to 11, and it's just ridiculous.
Right. And
so,
I've never been a fan of Superman. But
I love Superman.
I really enjoyed All-Star Superman. I really did. We read that on Modern Men about 3-4 weeks ago, maybe.
By the way, Jackson, Modern Men is the show that we ripped off, right?
I've got to watch it. Yeah. Okay.
Only we're doing it with movies.
Yeah. So I love, if anybody hasn't read that, that's my favorite, outside of Watchmen. And obviously I haven't read like every graphic novel, but I love All-Star Superman. It's just
prepare to get more salty, because the character development does get better.
I don't believe it.
Nope, you're lying. I'm worried about. The only thing I'm worried about is that this is like now setting a bar. This being Jackson's first comic book, or essentially, right?
In a while, yes.
In a while, this is setting a new bar. So everything that he reads after this is just going to be complete crap.
Saga is on point, or on trail, or whatever you want to call it, to be crowned as the best book of the last decade. So yeah, it must have been 2012 when it came out. Then
I will say,
Walking Dead was 2007, I think. Then
I will say that I did read a lot of Spawn too back in the day. So Image Comics, when I saw that logo on this when it came in the mail, I was like, oh, okay.
It's interesting. Now when you saw that, when you read this, when you get done reading this, anytime you see Brian K. Vaughan's name, you're gonna end up buying it. That's how we are. Paper Girls, you name it. Everything Brian K. Vaughan, we've been buying and reading now.
See, that'll never happen to me though, because maybe you guys will turn me into a comic book guy.
Oh shit!
But yeah, maybe it will. I don't know. I don't ever, like, once or twice a year I'll go to the local comic book shop here just to find like a graphic novel I want to check out or whatever. But yeah, I mean, is there a lot of shit that's this good or like worth reading? Like
so
this?
John's Comics with Kids suggested Die for our next one.
Okay.
Ooh.
Andy, what do you think?
Die is excellent, but Die is Jackson. You might like Die. Die is very heady. The art is heady. The story is kind of heady. If you've ever enjoyed D&D or enjoyed the thought of playing D&D, it'll bring you in. It can be a tough read at times. It's not. I don't feel like Die was as rewarding as Saga was. I'll say that.
Okay.
Right up front. I stuck with it from book one, and I'm buying every cover that comes out, and I'm doing a completionist collection on that as well, because every time a cover hits the LCS, I'm buying it for cover price. So it's affordable. In my opinion, as far as that goes. But there was a big stretch in Die that wasn't very rewarding, and a lot of people dropped it off their pull list, to be honest with you.
Okay. Is there anything you could recommend?
Oh,
is that a loaded question?
You guys might as well just come over to my place and sit down.
I was going to say, he's probably got a ton of shit that's awesome.
You know what? Here's what I'll recommend.
Get back to us.
Go back and watch Modern Men. Go back and watch the last 10, 15 episodes of Modern Men, and everything that we've read has been really, really outstanding.
I'm going to watch that All-Star Superman episode as soon as I turn this off, for sure.
There's been a couple of average.
It's on Comic Core's thing. So Jackson, if you're looking for it, it'll be on Comic Core's, right, Andy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. And we're doing tomorrow. We're actually doing Oblivion Song. That was my work tonight. I was going to sit down and pull panels and get ready for that show tomorrow. You
know what I've enjoyed too is God Country.
I have not read that yet. That's actually been on our list of randomizers to read up soon here. That's been optioned, I think, and from what I'm hearing,
It
would make
has.
a really good movie.
I thought it was for a series, but maybe you're right. Maybe it was a movie.
Yeah. I can't keep details straight anymore. I'm like, just squirrel.
Yeah.
Well, Jackson,
So-
you mentioned earlier that you're not very religious.
No.
Or maybe I misunderstood, but
No.
So why don't atheists make good businessmen?
First off, I'm not atheist. I just don't know what's out there.
This is just
a joke.
This is just an interjection for a good joke.
I don't know.
They don't
have any faith.
Profit. They don't have any profit.
Pretty good. Not bad. That's profits. PROPHETS for those.
Yeah, no, bad dad joke. But
no, that was good. I liked it.
I got one more for you because what do you get when you cross the Atlantic with the Titanic? Halfway there.
Hey,
these things don't land as good as they do in my head. I mean,
they're pretty good. You feel.
Me and Riley were totally cheating on our last episode. By the way, we were just Googling the best dad jokes, and just spitting them out.
Well, that's the idea. People don't have to just create whatever they want for the contest that I have going on my channel. I mean, these people can copy and paste whatever they want. The only people really cheating are the people that are already recording an episode on their own channel and then add their contest entry into the middle of their episode.
I don't know what you're talking about, dude. I don't. In all fairness, I did make you meat and potatoes. It's our main segment. I did that to Bear Island too.
So Jackson, you're into podcasts, right? Like listening to them?
I don't listen to enough because I'm just too damn busy. But
right, I know that is tough. There's a podcast out there called Horns and Wings, and they do a book by book. You can
okay.
Saga, Horns and Wings. Your two main characters. You can find them on Stitcher. You can find them on all your regular stuff too. And I haven't listened to them in a couple of weeks, but their most recent one I think was episode 25, 6 days ago.
Okay,
which would that be issue 25?
I think so. I haven't been.
So we're almost caught up to them then.
Yeah.
As far
is it better than Perry's thing on Star Wars Vader? I like
potato. I mean, tomato.
I enjoyed Perry's thing. It was kind of funny.
I really enjoy Perry's content. I love watching his show. But
he mispronounced everything in Star Wars, but I mean it's okay.
Oh, so you're reviewing it as a comedy show? Okay.
Yeah.
You can't. It's tough. You can't really compare one person's content to another person's content because then you're comparing the individuals, and that's the best part about being a human being is we're all individually different. So to say, there you go, Horns and Wings podcast. It's tough to say that one person's content is as good or better than another's because everybody brings something different. So,
I mean, my content's the best. Clearly,
you are the host, so
right. I guess I'm on the right side. I guess so.
Yeah. Right. So, do we have more to say about this, or should we just save it for
I don't
next?
Know, but hey, my rating, my grade for the first
what's your grade?
Volume A.
I'd give it an A too. Yeah.
100%.
A plus.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue.
Actually, with that. Dude, I don't know. There's nothing that makes it not an A plus. So yeah, A plus for me too.
Well, my problem, so I can't give it an A plus because I don't read enough stuff like this to know how it stacks up against other things in the realm of comic books.
Does
right?
It have to though? You can't just grade it just on the.
I suppose that's
alone.
True, but like if I saw, like I'm comparing it to movies. If I saw like. As a kid, I saw Deep Blue Sea and I thought it was like a B, you know what I mean? But then you see Jaws and then Deep Blue Sea becomes like a D minus, you know what I mean? Because it's like, well, but I have a feeling that
then you see the Meg and you're like, oh my God, this is the best shark movie.
Yeah.
Ever made.
Then Deep Blue Sea leaps back up to like C minus. And all of a sudden Jaws breaks through the ceiling. Mm-hmm. And becomes the greatest film ever made.
Yeah, so. I guess so. It's all relative as to what you've
right. So I'm gonna give it an A. I'm gonna give it an A. It's hard. It's also hard to grade something like this because you don't know where it's going. Right. I mean, it's like if you watched if you watched the first half of, a movie and it had a great ending, right? Like if you watched The Sixth Sense for the first time and you turned it off like 3/4 of the way through, you'd be like, oh, that's like a B, right? But then you finish The Sixth Sense and it's all about the ending, right?
Or if you watch Star Wars The Last Skywalker, the first second, and then after that, you stop it at 1 second. You're like, hey, that movie was pretty good. It stacks up against all the other ones.
That's not true, because immediately when the crawl hits the screen, it's broken. Because
I'm just talking about 1 second. So a long time ago in the galaxy far, far away.
Okay, yeah, that's the greatest movie ever made. Yeah, right.
Best Star Wars ever. After that, it's just completely downhill.
Well, then you turn it off and you go, oh, maybe that was Empire Strikes Back. So that was great.
Well, it's like in reverse with Game of Thrones. They had the A+ for the first half.
Right.
That's true too. Yeah.
Terribly.
Yeah, that's true. And you know what? I would say that if I went back and rewatched Game of Thrones, that I would enjoy it less because I know where it ends up.
Yeah, true.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna give it
no pressure, Andy, but this better end good.
Yeah.
Well, it hasn't truly ended yet.
That's true. Yeah.
So
that's true.
You guys are at a great point, because you have time to get caught up. You got the next, hopefully only a couple of months before they come back, and then you guys can add it to your pull list. Or Jackson, you can find an LCS and add it to your pull, and you can read it every month as it comes out.
That's what I'll probably do that.
Yeah.
I've never done that before. So that
I think you'll get back to that little kid enjoyment when, hey, I can't wait for my next show to come out next week.
Hey, Andy, how much are you willing to bet that next year Jackson has more than one comic book on his pull list that's other than Saga?
Ooh, I'd be. There's great Star Wars books that are out right now too.
Tell you what, here's what we're gonna do.
I've got a bunch of Star Wars books. I love the Lando series. That's probably my favorite one so far. But
now you're how far are you guys from Chicago?
I am like two and a half hours. I can get to Chicago easy.
I'm exactly 2 hours and 14 minutes because I just did that drive each way yesterday.
All right. So that's right. Yeah. Yeah, so we're gonna have to try to plan something. Whenever it is we go back to go visit Riley's family out in Michigan, we usually stop in Chicago at O'Hare. We're gonna have to plan try to coordinate something where we stay in Chicago for like a night or something like that.
I would be so game for that. That'd be cool.
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
Cool. All right.
I mean, unless the rest of Saga sucks, then I don't ever want to see Andy again.
Cool. All right. Well, hey, Jackson, you be down to do this next week?
I don't know. It depends. I'll try. My damn.
We'll figure something out. We'll get times out, and Andy, we'll let you know.
Yeah, Sunday nights this time work for me if you guys want to do more Saga stuff. Cool. Mondays are usually my days off, and Tuesdays are my other days off. So Sunday
Monday's your Modern Men thing, though. Yep. So you got to make sure you got time for that.
We'll schedule it. We'll find a way. We'll make sure you're in.
Cool.
Because you'll be the one that kind of guides us and rolls your eyes.
You're going to be our Gandalf, and we're going to be Frodo.
I'll be your spirit guide. Yes.
Hell yeah.
Perfect. All right. Well, hey, thank you everyone for watching. Continue to keep an eye on both of our YouTube channels for more content like this. Downright Annoyed with Comics. So just another thing that I have to add to my plate of bullshit that I have to do all the time.
So salty.
It's so awesome. I love it. There's no like Better Call Saul.
Jackson, I think you should be at the forefront. I want you to spearhead this new project of Downright Annoyed. I want you to create a new Instagram, Twitter handle, email, and website, please.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. This is the great setup where you got to start reading the really bad reads. Because you're already salty enough. To imagine how salty you get when you start reading all the bad stuff.
I can't even imagine. I'm just thinking right now it's 9:40, and I believe Sundays now have The Outsider, Curb Your Enthusiasm, and Better Call Saul. So it's gonna be
you have to watch Dune.
Night.
Your buddy from Pinky's, your buddy Ken suggested it landed on him, and we have to watch Dune now.
All right, before we go, I bought Dune on DVD years ago. I must have been like 13 or something. And I bought it and I was so excited to watch it. And honest to God, Michael, I've turned it on at random points in the movie when it's been like on TV. I can't watch more than 8 minutes of Dune at once. Like I can't. It's awful. It is the worst thing. I know, maybe not the worst thing ever, but it's not a fun bad. You know what I mean? Like,
No,
like
it's
there's
not.
fun bad. It's just miserable.
It's not
It's
rewarding at all.
miserable. No,
I've never seen it, Andy. So it's going to be the first
Dude,
time for me.
You
dude.
have to now.
The first scene of the movie, Michael, you're going to be like, you're confused immediately. You have no idea what's going on immediately. Nothing.
What's home for? What is going on?
Right. Yeah, right. There's like a big alien and like and I know the beginning well because I've tried to watch it so many times. But there's like an alien in a tube, and
We've watched it 40 times. Never.
Oh,
finished
it's
it,
horrible. But yeah, I will this week because that's a rule on our show that you can't review the show.
So bad right now. We've gone through the show 5 weeks and he hasn't gotten a chance to pick any movie except for the first one.
Yeah,
except
well,
for the first one.
But yeah, so I guess I will let everyone else say goodbye. You can find me at Bored and Annoyed. So I'll just hand it over to Michael here. I did the opposite. I clicked the wrong button. That's what I need to click.
There you go. Yeah, Mike from not from Bored and Annoyed, from Downright Nerdy podcast. You can find me at downrightnerdy.com on the Instagram, Facebooks, Twitters, all that fun stuff. Make sure you check out our giveaway video. We're giving away a whole bunch of fun stuff. You can find that on our YouTube channel. It's like a 15-minute video, tell you how to enter all that stuff. So yeah, check it out.
And Comic Man Andy.
Hey, you guys can find me on the Comic Core every Monday night doing Comic Core's Modern Men show. Occasionally, I pop in on some of the other weeks. They've got content every night of the week. You can find me on my own YouTube channel here. I've got a contest going on right now. Dad joke contest. Go post your favorite dad joke to the video, and you're entered for the prizes. If you do a video, like a standalone video, I'll get you 3 entries. Like a 10, 15, 30-second video. It could be the most terrible dad joke in the world. If you hop on and do a video, you get 3 entries. But more importantly, my favorite part is you can find me on the Pinkies Out podcast, one of the hosts with Ken and Kurt, where we drink our favorite beers and check out some of our local breweries and talk adult content. And you can imagine the more we drink, the more adult related it gets.
So
lots of Saga on that show, right? Lots of Saga conversation.
Actually, Jackson, have you watched any of Big Mouth on Netflix?
No.
Oh, you put that cartoon at the top of your list.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It's about it's about kids going through puberty.
Michael, as soon as you watch the Plinkett prequel reviews, I will watch Big Mouth.
Shit,
I'm on it.
You know what? I'm going to do that right now tonight. All right.
Dude, you can text away because the first 5 minutes you're going to be like, what the fuck is this? And then you're going to realize it's the most brilliant thing ever put on the internet.
It's done by Nick Kroll, Big Mouth.
I like Nick Kroll.
You're gonna love this show, man.
Okay, but yeah, thank you so much.
Puncture, glug, glug, glug.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening. And yeah, we will see you next weekend, at least for Dune, on Downright Annoyed with Movies, right here on Bored and Annoyed YouTube channel. So have a good night, everybody.